Imagine being so remarkable at your craft that the most powerful nation on earth begins to feel uneasy about your abilities. This week, Donald Trump made a striking remark urging Google and Microsoft to stop bringing in Indians, not Chinese, not Europeans, but Indians. Why? Because Indian skill is no longer hidden in the background, doing only coding tasks. It is now driving the future in artificial intelligence, space missions, and cutting-edge technologies. On a bright afternoon in Washington, at a renowned AI summit filled with the brightest experts in technology, Trump stepped behind the podium, fixed the microphone, and gave a statement that shook Silicon Valley and immediately echoed in India. With cameras flashing and executives from Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI sitting in the audience, he said clearly, "American companies must stop hiring Indians." For a moment, the entire hall froze. Not because people misheard, but because no one could believe such words had actually been spoken. This wasn't vague politics. It was a direct command to some of the world's most powerful tech giants to cut off Indian talent, the very people who had been central to their rise. Trump didn't stop there. He went after these companies for, in his words, abandoning American values. He accused Google of expanding too much in India, attacked Microsoft for employing talent abroad, and criticized Apple for producing in China. According to him, these corporations were born on American land, rooted in American liberty, but now they were channeling investments into India, building products in China, and storing profits in Ireland. His hidden message was simple: hire Americans, think American, and work only for America. On the surface, it sounded like just another version of his America First idea. But when you look deeper, something else becomes clear. Trump did not criticize foreign workers in general. He didn't say stop outsourcing everywhere. He focused only on Indians. That's not an accident. That's intentional. It reveals where the true worry lies. Out of all the global talent pools, it is Indian engineers, programmers, AI leaders, and tech visionaries who have risen as the strongest force. The numbers prove it. More than 70% of H-1B visas, those highly desired passes for specialized jobs, are taken by Indian professionals. From Sundar Pichai at Google to Satya Nadella at Microsoft, from chip designers to AI innovators, Indian minds have reshaped the technology world. And now they are not only the backbone, they are the vision makers, the planners, and the ones setting the pace of progress. This is what unsettles Trump. His campaign is not just political, it is also psychological, a reaction to the global rise of Indian intellect, because Indian excellence has reached a stage where it can no longer be sidelined, ignored, or kept under control. So here's the uncomfortable question that Washington avoids asking openly: why Indians? Why did Donald Trump, standing before some of the most influential companies in technology, aim his criticism directly at Indian workers? Not Chinese, not Mexicans, not Europeans, but Indians. The answer is both strong and unsettling. Trump is not merely responding to immigration numbers, he is reacting to intellectual disruption. He is alarmed by the fast climb of a talent group that in less than 20 years has surpassed many traditional Western power hubs in technology. Look at the statistics again. More than 70% of H-1B visas are issued to Indian nationals. At nearly every large tech company, Google, Microsoft, IBM, Intel, and others, you will see Indian origin executives making the key decisions that steer the company's direction. Indian programmers, engineers, and AI researchers are now the backbone of Silicon Valley's progress. And it's not about cheap labor anymore. That chapter is finished. This is about high-value leadership. It's about a new generation of Indian professionals who are not just solving existing problems, but creating brand new frameworks of intelligence, building advanced chipsets, and launching eco-friendly AI models. They are the ones behind GPT structures, the minds who designed Intel's futuristic processors, and the scientists breaking limits in quantum computing, space research, and advanced machine learning. Trump sees this change clearly. And for someone deeply concerned with American dominance, the sight of non-Western talent Leading inside a Western-built system triggers discomfort. It uncovers a reality he cannot openly admit. The technological future of America depends more and more on Indian intelligence. Without these professionals, innovation slows. Without their input, the United States risks falling behind in patents, advanced research, and new inventions. The success of Google's AI, Microsoft's revival, and Apple's supply chain efficiency, each of these stories is closely tied to Indian experts solving the hardest puzzles. And here lies the twist. Indian professionals are no longer waiting for America's approval. They are building billion-dollar companies inside India. They are running advanced AI labs in Bangalore and Hyderabad. They are founding unicorns in Dubai, Singapore, and London. This shift is what unsettles Trump even more, because the time when talent had to move to the United States to succeed is coming to an end. India is quickly becoming the next intellectual power center. The US cannot own it. It cannot redirect it. And when Trump tells companies like Google and Microsoft to stop employing Indians, what he is really saying is stop the rise of Indian intellect. It is becoming too strong, too independent, too influential. But time doesn't stop, especially not when 1.4 billion people are shaping their own future and no longer waiting for someone else to let them in. We should not ignore this. When a former US president openly declares, "Stop hiring Indians," it shakes the very core of what we thought about merit, opportunity, and globalization. So we have to ask, what is really behind this? Is it hidden racism, or is it a calculated political tactic? Let's look closer. Trump didn't make a broad statement. He didn't say, "Don't hire immigrants." He pointed directly at one nationality, while speaking in front of companies that depend heavily on Indian knowledge. That wasn't random. It was deliberate. But is it racism in the old sense? Not exactly. This isn't simply about ethnicity, it's about economic identity. Indians are no longer looked at only as service providers or backup workers. They are now seen, especially by people like Trump, as an emerging intellectual class. And in today's world politics, that visibility makes them a target. What Trump is doing is a type of economic tribalism, a strategy to appeal to voters who feel left out by the digital economy. In rural America, far away from the big tech hubs, many workers have lost their jobs, often because of automation, restructuring, or globalization. In their eyes, the replacements aren't only machines or foreign competition, they are often highly trained Indians. Trump knows how to use that frustration. His message is clear: I will bring your jobs back. I will stop these companies from giving priority to foreign engineers. Your loyalty should be to American workers, not to people with names you find hard to pronounce. But the irony is that these very companies became global leaders because they hired Indian talent. They grew faster, solved harder problems, and stayed ahead in innovation because they mixed ideas from different cultures and minds. In fact, many of the digital systems and data tools that powered Trump's own political campaigns were developed and fine-tuned by Indian experts. Yet today, they are being painted as the danger. This isn't about job security, it's about power and influence. Trump doesn't worry that Indian professionals are disloyal to America. He worries they are too capable to be controlled. Indian talent doesn't just fit into systems, it often rises above them. It leads them. It sometimes rewrites them completely. That kind of rise makes Trump uneasy. In his view, unpredictability means threat. So, no, this is not the old style of racism. This is a new type of economic pushback. Indians are being shown as the strongest and fastest competitors in this new technology struggle. Artificial intelligence is no longer just a research achievement. The nation that leads AI will control finance, defense, surveillance, space, and beyond. It is the new great race. But the United States is no longer running it alone. Something important is shifting. The most significant AI breakthroughs, the new algorithms, the scalable models, the massive data sets are not only coming from Harvard, MIT, or Stanford, they are also being created in Hyderabad, Bangalore, and India's top technology institutes. That is what really worries leaders like Trump. For years, the West had one main advantage: dominance over innovation. The top labs, the greatest ideas, the smartest minds all went to America. But now the flow is changing. Talent is staying at home. Entire ecosystems are rising in the global south. And India is investing heavily in AI, advanced chips, quantum systems, and next-generation computing. Indian engineers aren't just writing code for outsourced projects anymore. They are designing structures, inventing original algorithms, and solving worldwide challenges with solutions that no longer carry the Made in USA stamp. This new age belongs to minds that don't wait for permission and don't need outside approval. And increasingly, those minds are Indian. They are being trained at scale, multiplied, and applied to India's unique needs on homegrown infrastructure. And the impact is clear. India is building its own AI hubs. Startups across the country are creating AI tools for agriculture, local languages, logistics, and even defense drones. Indian origin researchers are publishing world-leading work, while others are heading billion-dollar AI divisions in both America and Europe. Now think about this. What happens when the world's largest democracy, full of millions of skilled engineers, becomes technology independent? It no longer waits for approval. It no longer needs Western validation. It sets its own direction. And for someone like Trump, who thrives on holding power instead of sharing it, that is unacceptable. So he uses the oldest tactic left in politics: containment. When you cannot beat the Indian mind, you try to restrict its access, cut hiring, tighten visa rules, and wrap it all in nationalism. But the truth is, that moment has already passed. India has moved beyond dependency. It is no longer only exporting brains. It is building industries. It is no longer just asking for a place at the table. It is designing the table itself. Whether it is AI systems fluent in 22 Indian languages or semiconductors built for South Asia, the Western grip on innovation is slowly slipping. Trump feels it. So do the corporations he pressures. Because the bigger fear isn't that Indians might take American jobs. The real fear is that Indians may soon build stronger systems without needing America at all. Behind the slogans, beyond the headlines, behind catchphrases like "America First," lies a deeper truth. India is no longer playing by the old rules. For many years, Indian professionals were seen mostly as a service class, talented but inexpensive. They helped American tech companies grow, built critical infrastructure, scaled platforms, and kept the systems running. In return, the United States gave them work visas, jobs, and a seat within its system. But that old exchange has now changed. The new India is not running after jobs anymore. It is running after self-reliance, and it is chasing that goal at every level. Independence in foreign policy, carefully balancing ties with the US, Russia, and even China. Freedom in technology, from artificial intelligence to chip design and production. Leadership in areas like space missions, digital finance, and defense startups. Most importantly, Indians have stopped waiting for validation from the West. They are building companies, creating unicorns, and solving billion-person problems on their own terms. That is what makes the change threatening to some, because for people like Donald Trump and for the older systems they stand for, everything revolves around control. And control only works when you still hold leverage. The difficult truth for America is that its leverage over India is shrinking fast. When you cannot control the talent, when you cannot buy loyalty, when you cannot dictate direction, the next move is to block it. Trump asking companies like Google and Microsoft to stop hiring Indians has nothing to do with saving American jobs. It is simply a desperate attempt to slow down India's unstoppable rise. But the irony is that the window has already closed. That moment has already passed. India now hosts one of the fastest-growing startup networks in the world. Its space program stands shoulder to shoulder with NASA and SpaceX. Its artificial intelligence industry is designed for local languages and homegrown data. It trades freely with both the East and the West without needing to pick one side. India isn't following anymore, it is setting the pace. And when leaders of Indian origin like Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, Arvind Krishna, and Parag Agrawal run the very companies that America takes pride in, the US quietly faces an identity crisis. Who is the true owner of innovation? Who decides the global rules? If Indian thinkers are shaping the future, then who really leads it? That is the unspoken fear Trump is pointing to, knowingly or unknowingly. It is the fear of a power balance turned upside down, where Indian minds don't just build the world's most advanced systems, but also decide how those systems function, who they serve, and who they leave out. This is far bigger than jobs or visas. It is a geopolitical shift. And for those holding on to the old dream of a one-sided world order, it is unsettling. Trump's statement should not be dismissed as only political drama. It revealed a deeper anxiety that many in the West are quietly struggling with. It is not simply about immigration. It is not about unemployment. It is a much deeper fear, the fear that India no longer needs permission. For the first time in modern history, Indian intellect is not standing in line for entry stamps. It is building its own tech ecosystems. It is leading global movements. It is reshaping the very design of world power. We must be clear here. Trump's words were not just rejection, they were admission. An open acknowledgement that India has become too strong to ignore, too skilled to contain, and too quick to outpace. When the most powerful country in the world tells its biggest companies to stop recruiting Indian minds, it is not because those minds lack ability, it is because they carry too much of it. And within that irony lies India's greatest strength. Indian talent did not rise by suppressing others. It rose by inventing, by questioning, by constantly learning, by adapting to every obstacle, and by refusing to give up. That persistence, that calm but relentless resilience, is what makes India one of the most underestimated powers of this century. Today, changing the world does not require living in San Francisco. You can spark change from Pune, from Hyderabad, from Bengaluru, or even from a small village equipped with a laptop and an idea. Because in this century, influence is no longer tied to geography, it is powered by intelligence. And India, without doubt, has intelligence in overflowing supply. We must read this moment correctly. This is not an insult. It is a signal. The West is beginning to resist what it cannot control anymore, and that is the signal for you. Not to argue, not to beg, but to accelerate your journey. Build faster, think bigger, scale higher. Let Indian creativity not only power the future, but decide how that future takes shape. So when someone says Indians are being rejected, remind them that this is not rejection. It is recognition. It is proof that Indian talent has become a global force. Not a danger to be avoided, but a transformation that must be faced. The Indian century is not something that will come one day. It has already begun.